Welcome to this edition of Morgan the Asked For podcast. Normal Wednesday night, right at 9 o'clock here. Trevor is out tonight, but we do have Zach Trimmel joining us, regular contributor here. We always thank Zach for joining us. Obviously, tonight's going to be all NCAA tournament picks and our thoughts and everything, and good to get Zach here for just a little bit different perspective. We are just about through the first half on my computer here, so it could be a little behind whatever. 43-34, the Red Hawks of Miami are ahead of the SMU Mustangs. So as of right now, they are proving they belonged in the tournament, even though their resume was questionable at best, but they did only have one loss on the season. So I do think they deserve to be in, but a lot of people question it, and they needed to prove with a good game. If they would have got blown out tonight, there would have been a lot of backlash.
Yeah, I mean, this is, I think what everybody. I mean, I like the the underdog story, and if these guys would have came in and got beaten by 20 or 30 tonight, that's just gonna take away from these mid-major schools ever getting in. With a second or third bid out of their conference. So hopefully they can continue in the second half and pull this off and kind of prove. I mean, even to think of you win 31 games and there's still people that don't want you in is kind of crazy in college basketball.
I believe Drake was in the same boat last year. I mean, they were like 32-3 on the year or whatever they were. And they actually had a couple wins against, I mean, I know they beat Kansas State and Kansas City. I don't know who else they beat, but yeah, it's when you win 30 games in the regular season, you should almost be automatically in. But what was nice to see is the crowd was loud there. I don't know how far Miami of Ohio school is from Dayton. I'm going to guess not very far because there are a lot of fans there. But good for them. Get their time in the sun and then move on. And we see it every year. We're an 11 seed, does go on and win another game. So whether it's the winner of this game or last night was a great game as well. Texas with the game-winning shot with 1 second left. Not technically a buzzer beater if you made that bet. The buzzer beater is like the Arizona shot against Iowa State where there's no time left. And I did learn that a couple years ago on a bet there that a buzzer beating shot is literally with no time left, not half a second left or whatever.
Yeah, that was a great game. I stayed out for it. You're at the mode here where you're going to stay up and watch all the games. And, Texas tried everything to kind of blow that. I mean, they couldn't handle the pressure at all. And they got bailed out there by a great shot at the end. But NC State kind of had all the momentum. But Texas was able to hang on. I didn't think either team looked great. But then they'll probably come back here. I think Texas gets BYU, and they'll probably look great. That's just how the tournament goes sometime.
Yeah, that is we've seen it with our own teams, with the Hawkeyes, with the Cyclones. They go, Iowa State will go win the Big 10 or Big 12 tournament and then go lose to Ohio State in the first round in a 6-11 matchup. They will get beat in the first round, and then they go win 2 games and get to the Sweet 16. And, the Hawks with Bruner and Holuska and them made a run. I think they won the Big 10 tournament, 3 seed, lost to Northwestern State. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, I think we won the Big 10 that year. I don't know exact what players were on there, but yeah, I mean, you just never know. You can say, oh, they're playing great basketball, but we've all seen it. They lay an egg. Or like I said, I thought Texas and NC State kind of struggled, both teams, all night, and I could see Texas coming out and pulling an upset and looking great tomorrow night.
Absolutely. And I was Lehigh was playing tonight earlier. They got beat by Prairie View A&M or whatever it was, but they were showing the highlights where they beat Duke as a 15 seed. So if you're in the tournament enough, and the Hawkeyes and the Cyclones both have been upset. Cyclones been upset as a 2 seed. You'll see that highlight, especially since they're a 2 seed again this year. Against Hampton in 2001, and I can tell you I was in Breckenridge. I don't know what just happened there, but are we back?
I'm here.
Okay. I lost my whole screen went black for a second there. All right, we're back. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what happened there, but um, yeah, I remember 2001. I was in Breckenridge, Colorado, on spring break skiing, and we went to an oxygen bar to watch it, and it was not a good night in Boise, Idaho, for the Cyclones. And that was, I mean, you could make an argument they weren't as good that year as the year before with Pfizer because they lost Pfizer, but they were really good. They got upset in the first round against Baylor in the Big 12 tournament. So maybe you could see the writing on the wall, but anytime you had Tinsley, he was so good, and missed that last layup to lose by one. And Cyclones, that 3-point shot in the corner against Northwestern State, Iowa State, and you were at this one, frosted tips in Louisville, Kentucky against UAB. And I mean, we've seen it all. Duke's lost as a 2 seed. Kentucky lost to St. Peter's when they were a 2 seed. So upsets happen. I do think, now this is a conversation I want to have with you. I do think they're less and less likely to happen because of the transfer portal and the money. And this is the reason why. Used to be when that upset happened, Kentucky with John Calipari was 5 kids that were going to go to the NBA, but they were 18 or 19 years old. And Lehigh, for example, or St. Peter's, were a bunch of 22, 23-year-olds that maybe started at a bigger school and transferred down, or just weren't recruited out of high school to the big schools and went to the small school, stayed for 4 or 5 years. And it was old versus young. It was old, know how to play basketball, skilled, just studs athletically. Well, now you look at, I'm going to use Iowa State example. You know, Lipsey's a 4-year starter at Iowa State. Jefferson's a 4-year player. Heisey's a 5th or 6-year guy. You know, Momcilovic is a 3-year guy at Iowa State. The good teams are old now. And, you know, guys are delaying the NBA a little bit, I think, because they're getting paid $2, $3, $4 million to play in college, and you can wait a year.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I mean, I think more so as well when you have these mid majors. That's kind of the recruiting grounds now. Like these schools are going to. I mean, unless you can get one of the top 20 freshmen, or I should say seniors in high school that Duke Kentucky gets, they're going to go get these proven guys at Miami of Ohio or a Lehigh that they're averaging 22 a game, 10 rebounds, because they've proven it, and they can bring them into Iowa State and Iowa, and they can step right in and put up 14 and 9, which you're not going to get that out of a top 300 player out of high school. So I'm with you. I think the upsets there's still going to be some, but I think they're going to start falling off. It's just going to be so hard to compete overall.
I think I used this last on Sunday night with Trevor. I'm going to use Joaquin Northwest. They've got a kid going to Illinois and a kid going to Nebraska. But pretend one of those guys were going to Drake. You know, that no big school wanted him. They go to Drake, freshman of the year in the Missouri Valley. Then the next year they end up at Iowa State, Iowa, Nebraska, or Illinois, and you know that he can do it at the college level. And yes, Colin Rice out of Northwest is a stud, and he's getting recruited by everybody, but you still ultimately don't know if he's going to make it in college or not. But as you said, the guy's scored 20 a game at the college level. You know he can do it. You know he can handle workouts from June until now. I mean, that's essentially what they do in Division I basketball. It's basketball every day from, every day of the year, even without practice, your weightlifting, your nutrition, your schoolwork. Just it is a full-time plus job to be a Division I athlete.
And coaches this day and age, they just don't have a long leash. They can't really go out and recruit a bunch of high school kids and wait 2 or 3 years. They've got to go. You got to win now. I mean, it's just. Yeah. I mean, Indiana football's kind of changed everything here. You've got to go out, and they're not going to give you 4 years. You need to be making the tournament in 2, probably minimum, or they're going to look elsewhere. There's so many players out there. There's money to be had, and I mean, DeVries is already on the hot seat at Indiana. I mean, I think he had the highest payroll in the country and didn't even make the the tournament. So I mean, if he doesn't make the tournament next year, he's gone.
I 100%. Well, and then look at Henderson at Drake. Now he doesn't have to go to the tournament every year, but he's got to be in the running. He's got to get to the semis and the finals in the Missouri Valley Conference tournament, and he's got to be the top 3-4 guy teams throughout the regular season. That's their expectation. With the one bid league, you can't expect to go to the tournament every year, but you got to be in that game or real close to that game every year to get there.
Yeah, I mean, and McCollum didn't do him any favors when he
No.
lost. DeVries took everything, and he came in and had that magical season. So Drake, expects to be in the tournament. I mean, from the sounds of it, they have maybe the most money in the Missouri Valley to pay players. So they were lucky to get those 2 wins, but they got a big turnaround next year.
What hurt him, and McCollum didn't have this, is when he came, unfortunately, his best player could not come with him. He went to Purdue. His best player was too good to come to Drake. That was his problem. If he could have got him to come to Drake, which he was never going to, they would have been a lot better. If he could have just brought his South Dakota State team with him, but he couldn't. He was actually supposed to go to Iowa State, but Purdue came in with more money, and I actually think it worked out for everybody involved. I don't think he would have been as good a fit as Buchanan. Buchanan's about perfect for what Iowa State wants.
Yeah, I mean it's a different world, and Drake's got they're picking from another. They've got to really take advantage of D2 studs and maybe some lower D1 guys that are. I mean, and you just kind of got to work your way up like it's minor league baseball.
Yeah, it's you have your junior colleges, and you have Iowa State's going to look at the Drake players, or even up a level a little bit. But Drake's looking at junior college / South Dakota, North Dakota, Wisconsin, Green Bay, just that next level down. There's levels to this stuff, as we say a lot around here, and Drake's at one level, Iowa State and Iowa are at a different level, and right now Iowa State's at a different level than Iowa. Iowa State right now with Otzelberger, as long as he stays in that logo, they can walk into rooms they've never been able to walk in, both high school and transfers. There's nobody in the country that doesn't know Iowa State basketball right now in the last 4 years.
Yeah, I mean they've won. They've got about as good a chance as anybody, I think, this year. I mean, this is their team set up for them to make that run. I mean, I think they've got to, not an Iowa State fan, but I think the Elite Eight's kind of the benchmark for this team where they need to get to, or I think there's going to be a lot of what ifs. Yeah,
because it's one of those, you don't want to say Elite Eight, but we've been to the Sweet 16 4, 5, 6 times with 3 different coaches. We need to make that next step. That's really what it comes down to. And last year we were too hurt. We weren't going to get where we needed to be. The year before, we played a really good Illinois team and got beat. One year where it kind of set up, Niang broke his foot. The Aaron Kraft, buzzer beater, foot on the line, charge call, whole different thing there. There's just been some things in the NCAA tournament that you never know. And then obviously you have the upset by by Hampton and upset by UAB, where if you win that game, most teams that win it or get very far have a game that's really close. Now, a lot of times it's not in the first round, but I remember Juan Dixon, when they won it all in Maryland, he hit a shot running in the corner to win it, and then they went on to win the whole thing. So having a close game is not a problem. You just gotta survive it, you gotta win it, and you gotta move on. And Iowa State, has been in those situations. That game, the last game they played, is the best basketball game of the year, one of the best ever in the Big 12 tournament. I mean, that's as good a college basketball game as you're going to see with 2 really, really good teams.
Yeah, I mean, that shows you can beat. I mean, you didn't beat them, but it shows you can play with anybody. Because I mean, I think I saw today that 20% of the brackets are picking Arizona to win it. So
I have Arizona. I'm just going to go ahead. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you my final 4 picks. I got Duke, Houston, Arizona, and Michigan. I know it's real creative. Duke and Arizona, and then I have Arizona winning it. What I saw Friday night, Iowa State played out of their minds. They shot the ball so good. I mean, Milan was 8 for 12. I didn't think Iowa State could get beat if they played that well and played that type of game, and they did. A team that can do that can win the whole thing, and it's no surprise that Arizona can win it. Now, can Michigan win the whole thing? Absolutely. Can Houston? Absolutely. Can Florida? Absolutely. I mean, there's 6 or 7 teams, and Iowa State is one of those. Because, yeah, you think, okay, you're going to play Michigan in the Elite Eight if you get there. Well, it might not be Michigan. You don't know. And then you think, okay, well, then you're going to play Arizona in the Final Four. Well, it might not be Arizona. I mean, crazy things do happen. I do think most of the number ones will get a long ways. I have 1s, 2s, and 3s going about, as far as you can, a few upsets here and there. But, there's 7 or 8 teams that could win it with probably a heavy favorite to 2 or 3 with, I think, Arizona, Michigan, and Duke is kind of the 3 heavy favorites to win it, and maybe a close 4th with Florida.
Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, that's the beauty of this tournament. I don't think. I mean, I hate saying it, but I don't think the best team always wins it. I mean,
Nope.
We're not doing a best out of 7 each series, and then if you do that, you could probably narrow it down to probably 3 teams. But this one, you catch a team that's on fire and a team that's struggling, and they're out. It's not like the NBA Finals where you're going to get the best team usually because you got to beat someone 4 out of 7. I don't think there's a lot of teams that can beat Arizona and Duke and Michigan in a best 4 out of 7.
No, and that's the one thing that scares you about Iowa State. They play that defense that if you have a really strong guard that can get it cross court, pass it across, and you can knock down that open jumper on the backside, mainly a 3-pointer, like Texas Tech does, like BYU does. Those are the 2 teams that just give Iowa State fits in that situation. But they have strong guards that can get the ball across court to an open shooter. Iowa State's in trouble. But most teams, 95% of teams in the country can't do that. So you're going to beat them. I mean, I do think Tennessee State cannot do that consistently. I don't know if Kentucky and Santa Clara are I don't think Kentucky would be patient enough to do it with this team. Now, they have the athletes to do it. I have no question about that. And then when you get to that next game against probably Virginia, then you're talking now you're just you got to play a little bit, more solid, kind of hope they don't go 15 for 30 from threes. Cause if they do, you're in for a long night because those teams are just good enough to do that. And you hope you get those steals. You don't have the guard. You just force a lot of turnovers and get yourself in transition and get Jefferson and Milan in transition. And you're really tough to beat if you get Jefferson going downhill, and then you can drop it off and kick it off to Milan in transition where he's all but automatic in transition threes.
Yeah, I mean, Iowa State just can't have that one, where they lay an egg game because they've got, if they can bring it, they could definitely make a Final Four run. So hopefully they can put it together for 4 games in a row.
All right, so I just gave my Final Four picks. Do you want to give yours or not?
Yeah, mine's a little different than yours. I'm taking Michigan State, Florida, Arizona, and Michigan. And I got Michigan versus Florida in the championship with Michigan winning it all.
You got Michigan versus Florida?
Yep. I mean,
that very easily could happen. I had Michigan State going to the Elite Eight. So you're not that far off of me. I mean, I really thought about putting them in.
I think Duke's a little banged up, but
I do. I just think I think those guys will be back next weekend, or at least one of them. So we'll see. But yeah, you see those guys rolling around on scooters, doesn't make you real happy if you pick them to go a long ways or win it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's a crapshoot every year, but that's what I'm going to roll with, and hopefully we can get Michigan to play Florida.
Yeah, and it'll be the first time since 2000 when Michigan State won the title. They beat Iowa State in Detroit um, to get to a Big Ten title. So that'll be good for the Big Ten. Interesting with Michigan State and Michigan getting to the Final Four. I don't think Dusty May and Tom Izzo's are friends or Christmas card buddies.
No, they're not real big on each other. That's for sure.
And that's great because they're I mean Tom Izzo's right. They're not taking a backseat to anybody, but Michigan, with Beeline, they made a championship game with Beeline. So I mean, they've been good they're always just one of those teams that they're never bad. They've been a 1 seed, they've been a 2 seed, they've been a 3 seed with probably even with Juwan Howard the first year or two. Might have been one of the higher seeds. I know it kind of fell off the tracks in the last couple of years, but when he first got the job, I think maybe the first year he even had it, Iowa State played them down at the Battle of Atlantis, and I think they kind of put it to Iowa State.
Yeah, they're, I just think they, that game with Duke, that was one of the better games of the year as well. It's kind of like that Iowa State Arizona game. I mean, when they put it together, they're going to be a really tough out.
Yeah, the one team that I do think if they get the right whistle and hit some shots, I mean, I do think Houston, like if Houston played Arizona, obviously they played a few times already, that would be, and then Houston's been to the championship game. Kelvin Sampson's been to the Final Four, 4 times if they would make it again, once with Oklahoma and now 2 or 3 times now with Houston. I'd like to see him get a championship. I mean, he's been good at a lot of places, and it's crazy he got fired at Indiana for texting players. Can you imagine that now?
Yeah, I mean, he's been knocking on the door. I mean, he's probably the best coach out there that doesn't have a title at this point.
Right.
So it wouldn't shock me if they made a run as well. I mean, the way they play defense, they're going to stay in every game. It's just a matter of making some plays down the stretch when you get to that Sweet 16 and beyond level.
Yeah, it's as I talked to Trevor. I don't know if you listened to that one or not, but if you're Iowa State and you're well, really any game from here on out because you just want to win. But if you're in a tight game against Michigan, or if you're in the Final Four against Arizona or whoever, you want to have a minute to go, 1 possession either way, and you got to make a play to win it. That's all you can ask for, and you hope your team does it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's kind of where we're at with the Hawkeyes. Hopefully they can.
Yeah.
We got a tight game with a minute to go, and you hope Bennett Sturts is the best player on the floor and can make it happen against Clemson and give us a shot there to play Florida.
What do you think about that game? 8-9 games, so it's always a coin flip. One of their best players did tear his ACL in the ACC tournament, done for the year. So, I mean, that obviously helps. Do the Hawks have enough? I do think they have enough to win this game. Obviously, next round against Florida, correct?
Yes. You would think so, yes. But
yeah, I mean,
unless there was a major upset.
Yeah, I don't see Florida losing to a 16. I do think they're too good for that, but it's happened. Do they have enough to keep with Florida in that second round?
Well, the problem with Iowa's just been they've dug themselves, holes, and then they tend to come out of it. But you can't get yourself down 15 against Florida. It's not going to happen. I think if they could, come out and somehow jump on Florida and get them down 10 early, and
right,
then you might have a chance. But you've really got to come out and be the aggressor and get the lead on them and prove to yourself you can play with them. I mean, I'm not giving Clemson. I'm not saying that's a win yet either. That's one of them coin flips where if we don't come out ready to play, we could find ourselves down 15 like we have here lately, and then come storming back. But I think our only shot against Florida is you've got to get up on them early and kind of just hang around and hopefully give yourself a chance that way. But getting down early, that could lead to a blowout real fast.
I did hear. Maybe you knew this, but I did not. But I heard this on one. I know we listen to a lot of the same podcasts and stuff. But one of them was saying that Brad Bonnell, or however you say his name, Bronell or whatever, was in the running for the Iowa job when Fran got it. He was a coach at like UNC Greensboro or Wilmington or something, and he was in the running for that job. He's from Indiana, so he kind of has a Big Ten ties. And obviously he's done a decent job there at Clemson. It's kind of been up and down a little bit, but just a couple of years ago they made the Elite Eight, so that, bought him a little bit of time here, I think. But yeah, I just found that a little bit interesting where that coach,
I don't know a lot about Clemson. I mean, it's not a real basketball hotbed, but I'm guessing, podcasters in the Clemson area don't know a lot about the Hawkeyes either. They're kind of very similar to each other in the regards that nobody knows much about each other unless you're from that area.
Right. It's just like, Iowa State's playing Syracuse in the women's. It's like, who knows anything about Syracuse women's basketball? Mm-hmm. Nobody around here knows anything, and nor should they. I mean, it's one of those. So what is a team that you have winning a game or two? I don't think you need to make a Elite Eight run or anything, but just, a double-digit seed that you think could make a run per se. Because every year, at least one double-digit seed makes a Sweet 16. It just is what it is.
Yeah, like we talked earlier, it's just so much. It's so, I'm going to be kind of boring here, but I'm going to pick Northern Iowa just because I know how good a defense they play.
Right.
And
and they play
can
super
do
slow.
Anything offensively, but they can there were games, I think, middle of the year where they were scoring like high 40s, and you're not going to be able to do that against St. John's. But, for a double-digit seed that could maybe pull an upset, St. John's is really good. Don't get me wrong. I think you and I could probably beat them, 2 out of 10 times maybe. So, right. I'd pick UNI, but at this day and age, I think it's more who's a team that could maybe make a run. And a couple teams that I have my eye on is Vanderbilt and BYU. I would keep an eye on both of those two. I just think those two could have the, if you watch what Vandy did to Florida in the SEC. In the SEC game, they just absolutely thumped them, and
right.
I think BYU has maybe the best player in the whole tournament. So
I think he's the best player. I don't know how you don't pick him number one. I don't. The one Boozer might be. I don't watch a ton of Duke basketball, but the people that think Peterson is better than Debansa, I don't see it. And I know I'm not an NBA guy, and I might be higher than a kite or whatever people think, but Debansa is bigger. He shows that he wants to play more. I don't know how much Peterson likes playing, or he is just told so much that he cannot play. He can only play this much. And whether that's a Kansas thing or his agent or whoever it is, someone's telling him he can't play. But Debansa is 6'9". What he did to Iowa State when out there right after Saunders got hurt, he made Iowa State look silly, and not very many people do that on the offensive end.
Yeah, he's one of the best. And that, I don't know. I just think you could see one of those two maybe making an Elite Eight run, and it wouldn't totally shock me.
And that's and I've talked about this here, but the one thing that scares me about Iowa State, like BYU has, hey, you need a basket, you give it to him, and everybody gets the heck out of the way, and you go. Iowa State doesn't really have that. Yes, you give it to Jefferson and you make him create, but it's not necessarily he's just going to get to the basket or get to a jumper. He is going to make a play, and if everybody crashes, he's going to kick it to somebody and hopefully they hit a shot. Or he's going to bully him down and hopefully hits a little layup. But it's not going to be just he can get a shot no matter what, because he can't. And Iowa State doesn't have anybody on the roster that can just get their own shot at all time, anytime.
Yeah, that's a fair point. You got to have somebody that, can get that shot, but you'd have to probably go with Jefferson, like you said.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to give it to him. Lipsey's not the guy to create your own shot. And I don't know if you want him shooting that shot anyway. You spread it out. And what it's going to, if you get to Elite Eight and you're down 2 points with 37 seconds left, just like they did against Houston, you need Bateman or Heisey or Torre to hit a three because they're collapsing on Jefferson or holding Milan, and you got to kick it to them and they got to knock it down. That's how I would say it gets to the Final Four or Elite Eight, whatever.
Yeah, it should be an exciting time. I mean, these next few days are some of the best, of the whole year, if that's for sure.
Yeah, and then I know everybody around here knows this, but it's going to be 87 degrees on Saturday, and you conned me into playing golf at 11 o'clock, so they're not even going to watch the thing.
Well, when you got that type of weather in March, you got to take advantage of it. You can watch it on your phones.
I agree. I mean, I agree, but it is crazy. I'm like, well, what time? 11. What? But I understand. You really can't. This time of year, they don't let you on too much earlier, and it does get cooler at night. And I think it'll be fine by sun, but I don't think they're even letting people on tomorrow because it's just a little bit too wet with the snow and everything still.
Yeah,
or at least not letting carts. I mean, I think they'll probably let you walk, but at least they're not letting carts.
It's going to be pretty soggy still with all the snow melting. That's for sure.
But it felt really nice today, and I know it's only going to get warmer tomorrow and then Friday, and then yeah. Can you imagine if it hit 90 degrees on March 21st? and then we'll have a golf meet on April 4th, and it'll be 42 degrees and snowing.
Oh yeah, and the wind will be blowing 30 mile an hour.
We'll be winter coats, hat, and gloves, and that's what I kind of was doing some stuff in the garage today, and kind of moving some stuff out of cars and stuff. And I'm like, in my car that I take every day to work, I'm like, nope, hat, gloves, winter coat stays in.
For sure, you got to keep it in there all the way to basically May.
Right. Yeah. And especially, and you're the same way. A lot of golf courses are on the edges of town or just barely in the country, so it's always windy. It's not for me, and the country club in Ottumwa, it's not near as bad. It's in town there, but you go out to Cedar Creek and that driving range, and you tee off on number 1. There's not much blocking a north wind.
No, it's every year. It's not the greatest weather for golf until about you get through mid-May, and then it starts to turn.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about? Basketball, anything else? I mean, we went about 30 minutes or so. I mean,
Nope. I mean, we're just getting ready here. We got March Madness and then the Masters. So, I mean, This is a fun time right now.
Yeah, that's what. And then, like, the week after the Masters is the NFL draft. And, I mean, then I think I saw maybe even the week after that is WWE, WrestleMania or whatever. I mean, I just saw a whole bunch of things where it's just crazy. There's always something every weekend. And
well, yeah, baseball's starting. Did you watch that baseball classic last night? That was
I did.
TV.
I watched a lot of the games, all the semis. I think I watched some of the quarters. It's every 3 years, and I think they said they're moving it to every 4. They do need to figure out the pitching, but I understand it. These teams are paying these guys lots and lots of money, and if you get hurt pitching in March 15th for essentially nothing, and you're out the season, that's a tough deal. So yeah, I understand. Yeah. Oh yeah. Edwin Diaz, didn't pitch tore his patellar tendon. Yeah. So, but the emotion, Skeens going against the Dominican Republic where their lineup was just absolutely all-star, and pitching really well. And yeah, I mean, yeah, you don't want him throwing 100 pitches. He threw like 71. It was perfect. And that's what you want. Skubal only pitching 1 game and then leaving is what it is. And I'm actually okay with that, but you need to bring more of those guys on. Like, the best 20 pitchers are all on the roster and you just move them in and out. Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I enjoyed watching that a lot more than I do a regular season baseball game in the major leagues. That's for sure. Well,
and last year the Dodgers and Blue Jays were great, and I think baseball, they need to capitalize on it. I love watching playoff baseball, and then like this now. unfortunately, the Minnesota Twins might actually have the worst record in baseball for the next 3 years because they traded their entire team. But yeah, it's just a really good baseball game is really fun to watch, and the emotion and stuff. And unfortunately, one of 162 just doesn't have that emotion, and it can't be. And John Smoltz was talking about that. You can't have it. You'd be emotionally drained if you did that every day for 162 days. I mean,
for sure.
Physically, mentally, you cannot. And, the old adage in baseball, Major League Baseball, is you're going to win 50 by showing up. You're going to lose 50 by showing up. And then the difference is the other 62 games.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not wrong. I mean, that's just the best team beats the worst team. That's just how baseball is. But I know you enjoy it. I know you're Jordan, on a really good team. It'll make a difference. And I know Bryson's you're getting started with the Sluggers there over in Sigourney, and you're back in it full time.
Yeah, we had a few summers off there where we didn't have to go every weekend. Now we got the schedule. I think we got 6 weekend tournaments here starting in maybe April. We might have one. So it's revving up all the way through the 4th of July. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's what I know Tyler plays. We don't start till May, but then once May hits, it's almost every weekend. So,
well, they're making a run here. We got a tie game, SMU and Miami. So
All right, let's sign off. Thanks for joining, Zach, on kind of a short notice there with Trev not being able to make it. But always enjoy these 2 days, and you got to go to school though, right?
Yeah, we've got school all week. No spring. Well, we did have Monday off, but yeah, we've got spring break. So it'll be on. I'll have it on at school. Crawford usually has it on in the lunchroom so the kids can watch it.
Yeah, and say that's what I mean. I always turn it on. There's some kids that love watching it. Some kids won't pay any attention to it, and that's fine. Everybody has their own choice on that, but give them an option, and it's something to talk about, and it's current events, and
it's a fun time. 2 of the better days of the year, that's for sure.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, Zach. We'll talk to you later.
All right. Bye.